right. We are here with the lovely Amy Bormet. She's a composer, singer, pianist, activist. Welcome.
Hi.
Amy.
Thanks for having me.
So excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm already too excited. I need to calm down. Somebody needs to get me one of those CBD cocktails. It's only 11 a.m.
This is going to be great.
Be
So,
calm.
Amy, we went to high school together.
Don't tell him about that.
Yeah.
Don't tell him about that.
Yeah.
It was a dangerous time.
You were, 2 years ahead of me, right?
When did you graduate?
2002, right?
I
You
was
graduated?
2002, yeah.
2 years. Why don't you just tell us, who you are and what you do?
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm a musician. I'm a hustler. I'm a jazz lover, jazz evangelical. I spread the gospel about jazz to the people and put on jazz shows all over the place, anywhere I can find. And yeah, I've been working as a performer for years and years now, since high school. I started gigging with Davey Yarborough. In high school, he would drag us around, and we had a great time. And now I'm playing all over the place, playing at the Kennedy Center, playing in Europe, playing in LA, playing in India. Anywhere I can get a gig, I'm there. And anywhere that other people haven't gigged, I'm trying to make it into a gig. So that's kind of my thing.
And you're the founder of
I
the
am.
Washington.
Oh yeah, that.
Yes, Women in Jazz
Yes,
Festival.
this is my bag. The Washington Women in Jazz Festival. I've now going into the 9th year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's all curated and music directed and executive directed by me. And I put all the concerts together and bring all my favorite women musicians and highlight their music and play with them. And I serve not only as a performer but as an accompanist to some of my favorite people, and then they play my music too. So it's a magical paradise.
Awesome.
Of
Yeah, I
jazz.
want to get more into the depths of Washington Women in Jazz in a second, but can you tell us how did you even get into music and what was kind of the catalyst? Because sometimes for artists it just hits us and then it takes time to actually find what it is that we love.
Yeah, well, I knew immediately that I loved being in front of people. I'm obsessed with being in front of people. I mean, even just having a camera is the happiest moment of my life. Hi.
You're gonna do
Hi.
stand-up
Hi.
at some point.
Oh no, I'm waiting for you to write my stand-up jokes because my jokes aren't that good. But yeah, I knew I wanted to be in front of people. So when I was a kid, I would put on shows. I think a lot of us have done that
Right.
for force your family. My family is really big though, so we'd have family reunions and we'd have family reunion talent shows. So I'm 3 years old and I'm no, you can't leave yet. I have 8 more songs. I got a whole.
I did
set
that
list
too, but with my
prepared.
stuffed animals.
Okay, see,
So
I did this
no
with
one left.
my cousins, and I'm on the bottom
No
of the
one
cousins.
left.
Yeah, you can't go. So I'm, forced my cousins to sit there through my entire thing, and then they clap, and I'd be like, okay, one more though, and sing all my favorite songs from my favorite musicals. So it definitely started out with singing. I come from a musical family, and I grew up playing on my grandmother's piano, and just really loving music and loving everything about music and performing. And then that turned into a lot of different directions, doing musical theater and doing all these happy things. And of course, piano lessons were always kind of the most mundane part until I figured out that I could play the piano and other people would sing with me, and that I could direct sort of this magical sing-along experience. And that's when I was really hooked into being okay, well, now I need to really play the piano because I need to be able to play the piano for every possible occasion, for every person that I meet,
Yeah.
Marjuan, what do you want to sing? Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's when I really started playing the piano.
And then I guess how did composing hit you?
Yeah, it's almost the same. I mean, it's the same trajectory because I would meet people that I love to play music with and would write music for them. So I first of course started out writing jazz music because I was playing a lot of jazz at Ellington, and then here at University of Michigan, and then at Howard University, and in between school playing at different clubs. And I would just bring in tunes for I played at HR 57 every Wednesday and Thursday for years, and would just bring in music and set it up and be like, here we go, we're going to play this. And then as that sort of developed, I started making more complicated things. So now it's to the point where I'm writing chamber ensemble music and have a lot of friends that are classical musicians that want to improvise but don't necessarily improvise in the jazz canon. So I started writing them pieces where they could improvise and have written music and play with strings and everything. So yeah, it's just sort of developed out of this organic thing where I like people and I like being around people and I like playing music with people. And so creating a platform where I can play music with people who might not necessarily be in the same genre as I am.
Yeah. Great. So I guess when you got out of college, because you studied music, what happened after that? Because I think, I'm interested in understanding, like, how do you go from, okay, I'm a crafts person and I'm studying my art. Now I need to go out and find work.
Yeah, I need to pay my rent. Yeah, I did a lot of important things. I think one was I went to University of Michigan, which was a beautiful experience, and studied with Jerry Allen and Ellen Rowe and all these wonderful women became my mentors. And while I was there and while I was studying and working and practicing and in the cold, and while I was doing all that, I was still flying back to DC to do gigs. So I was maintaining my connection to the jazz scene here, and keeping that sort of lit, that flame lit. And so when I finished school, it wasn't like I just came back and was like, hey, it's me, give me a gig. Like I had maintained a lot of connections so that I could come back and work with Herb Scott, and I could come back and work with Davey Yarbrough, and I could come back and reconnect with people that I hadn't really left behind. So when I finished undergrad, I started working, and I was playing at all these a lot of the clubs on U Street and 18th Street and Columbia Station, and a lot of these places are gone, like HR 57 and things that I had weekly gigs there. So I started to develop myself as a steady weekly musician, so that when people came to jam sessions and came to places, they saw me and then they started hiring me. So I really started working as just a hustling performer. And that was great, and I had a great time, and I did that for about 2 years, and then I went back to school at Howard for a grad school, and that was like mind-blowing, because once you're in this network of people at Howard University, it's like you own the entire District of Columbia. So I just started getting tons and tons of work, and I played everybody's party for every possible thing ever, right. And I played everybody's concert and everybody's everything, and that was great, and really connected me with Fred Irby there, really connected me all over the city and connected me with the Kennedy Center, and I started doing residency programs at the Kennedy Center, and that's how I really got the first inkling that I needed to do a Women in Jazz event, is that I played at the Mary Lou Williams Jazz Festival there and said, okay, well, this is, something that I think could be done on a local level. I don't think it needs to be just international women get access to this. I think locally as women, we can all come together. And
that was my next question. Uh-oh. So I guess moving through, it seems like school.
I can do this whole interview myself if you need me to. It's fine.
That's right. I'm leaving. No. But really with, I guess school really helped in like laying a foundation and then figuring out,
Definitely.
Using your resources.
Definitely.
Which should be the point of school.
Yeah.
One of the great things about going to school, but I guess what was your interactions with women in the jazz industry locally here, but you've also worked and lived in LA and New York, and so what is that space for women in jazz, and why did you feel the need to create the Washington Women in Jazz Festival? Like, was there a specific incident or a series of incidents that were happening?
It's a lot of things. Well, first off, I was born a woman, and so that was a big part of it. Having a vagina.
You need a comedy show.
A lot of people are like, so why are you interested in women in jazz? And I'm like, I don't know what it's like to be a man in jazz. So
just a woman. I'm just who I am.
I just was born. I was born like this, with my lady bits, and I was like, okay, well.
I feel that.
I think that my first jazz experiences were in spaces that were male-dominated spaces. So even though my mother is a clarinet player and is obsessed with Benny Goodman, and we would play music together, all my school experiences in choir had plenty of women. It was half women, half men, or maybe a little bit more women. And then as you start to get older as a musician, you start to see the women just drop off. And you have to really strongly say, okay, well, I know who I am, and I'm not going to be deterred by all my lady friends just leaving me, and I'm gonna cling to the ones that remain, and we're gonna stick together. And I think that's something that's really beautiful about the jazz community, is that the jazz community is extremely supportive, especially in DC. And the women on top of that, the women that I've met in the jazz community are incredible, and from all ages. And now it's like, I'm working with women who are 20, 30 years older than me, and I'm working with women who are, 15 years younger than me, and I love them all. The entire spectrum is super inspiring and really, really powerful to be a part of. So initially, even making the decision to go to University of Michigan, why did I go there? Because Ellen Rowe was the head of the jazz program there, and it was the only jazz program headed by a woman. So, she recruited me. I went to see her play at the Kennedy Center as part of the Mary Lou Williams Jazz Festival, and I was like, hey, I am going to go to University of Michigan because I love you. Like, this is amazing. And so, went to University of Michigan, studied with Jerry Allen, who's a huge figure in women in jazz. Is probably the biggest inspiration for me as a piano player, seeing her playing at the Kennedy Center when I was in high school. We used to get free tickets, go to the Kennedy Center. I saw her destroy the piano. It was like Jerry Allen's piano massacre. Like the bits of the keys were flying everywhere, and it was on fire, like physically smoking. And then at the end of the night, the piano just went in the corner and cried. So, like, she's so powerful, And so it's just been inspiration after inspiration, just functioning in my life the way I do, and the way that I embraced my identity in order to get ahead.
Yeah, and I think I could totally relate to that, because film and theater industry is the same. Obviously, it's much more male-dominated in specific roles, right?
Course,
so it's strange if you see a female director or female cinematographer, but I think, like, as we get older, we have to create more spaces where we can bring other women together that are older than us, that are on the rise, and we all can have community together, because we just function differently. Not differently, we just function as women, and our experiences and are just different. I mean, you're married also, so being able to have a personal life and having a career and creating a festival, and so you're balancing a lot of different things. So I guess for you, how does self-care and actually taking care of you work in relation to all of these things that you do?
Yeah, well, that's a tough one.
Well, what does that mean for you? Because I think
that means
self-care is different for everybody.
Yeah, it's a constant struggle to achieve any balance, I think, as an artist, because if we're a true artist, we're a little bit obsessed. So it's unhealthy to start. So you're like, oh, well, let me just do this for 5 minutes. And then you're like, now I'm going to do this all day.
For 5 hours.
Yeah.
15
and
hours
then you
later.
look up and you're like, oh, I haven't eaten anything. And, I didn't write any of those emails back. And, let me call my mom. And, where's my shoes? And, my clothes smell bad. Like all of this stuff. It's just like a function of life. Yeah. And then you're like, how can I get paid off of what I just spent 5 hours doing today? And I can't. Like, I don't know. Like right now I'm writing a string quartet for a non-existent string quartet. So like I spend hours a day just being like, oh yes, let me fix this violin articulation.
I mean, do you find, I know this is strange to say this, but do you find some type of self-care or like freedom in actually creating music?
Definitely.
Because at times, like I've set up boundaries in certain things where like I'm not going to answer emails at a certain time. I'm going to go to sleep at a certain time, which helps. But then I also find some type of, I obviously love what I do, but also there's a sense of joy and freedom that comes in, mostly for me, writing. Yeah. So do you find that for you?
Totally. And, how do we get into this flow state where we're feeling ultimately creative and everything else, it's like the fact that you haven't been able to pay your rent, and the fact that your car really needs some work, and you're like, your cat probably needs some cat surgery, and like all that stuff is like, okay, I don't even have to think about that, because you can't think about it because you're so intense. And it's not just a focus, it's like it's a space that creates love and beauty, and
Yeah.
You're just making something. I think that's, that's why we stick with it. Otherwise, it would be just a masochistic disaster. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there is self-care within the work, which is also kind of disturbing, I think, when you tell people that. It's like, oh, what my self-care is practicing. Like, I love to practice. Like, if I can practice an hour a day, it's like a spa. Like,
yeah, you're just in the zone, and
that's for me.
Yeah,
like,
that's beautiful.
And so the line between work and self-care and magic and effort is all so blurred that I feel like it's just, you just gotta keep going. I mean, I like to chill too. I like to go for a walk, but like most of the time, if you ask me, I have an extra hour, what am I gonna do? It's either gonna be, well, I need to nap because I can't function, or I'm gonna go practice because this makes me happy.
Yeah. And I think the great thing about all the people I'm interviewing is that we just love what we do. It's
right?
hard to explain. I mean, it's not hard to explain.
So it's so radical for people sometimes,
because a lot of people don't actually know what their purpose and passion is.
Yeah.
So I think,
we're lucky as hell.
Yeah, that we found this. We found what we wanted to do. Like, we were sent here to do something.
Right.
So.
And it's super radical. Like, we've had all these people that, I know all the people at Ellington, all the people that taught us when we were younger, like, really led us on this path of, like, it might not have been the most healthy thing ever, but like, yes, we know you've been bit by this bug, and there's no way forward but just the work.
Absolutely.
There's no shortcut to that.
And I mean, so tell me about like the activism part, because I know, it's all wrapped up in who Amy is. So, but I'm trying to just unwrap that. There's the craft Amy, there's the entrepreneur Amy, and there's the activist Amy. So, I mean, what you've done with the Washington Women in Jazz Festival is incredible. And it happens every March, right, during Women's History Month. And just the fact that you're creating space for women, to all different types of women, international women, local women. Now it's so many different type of female musicians who are attending, participating, showcasing their work. I mean, how important it is for you to combine your art with a message, a social message, or did it just happen organically?
I think my awareness of the message behind it evolved, because when I started, I knew that there were specific women that I wanted to play with. I knew that Lee Pilzer, one of my favorite saxophonists and just incredible musician, and she lives right here in Silver Spring, but she's played all over the world with the Smithsonian Masterworks Jazz Orchestra and the Diva Jazz Orchestra, which is like one of the biggest women's jazz orchestras. So, that's somebody that I knew I wanted to play with. So I was like, okay, well, when I set up these dates, I'm gonna make her play with me. Yeah. So it evolved from specific women that I was inspired by into really taking on a lot of different ideas for what people needed, what women needed in the jazz community, and the things that I saw, I think there's a whole nother level of how we market ourselves as women is very precarious. So to be able to have a Women in Jazz Festival, and for me to be in charge of the marketing with an awareness of, I know this person and I know how they want to be perceived. So a lot of times you get a gig and then you come up and you see like Diana Krall, she's lying on her bed with her hair tousled everywhere.
Because that's what women do.
And that's what women do when they play jazz. They just had a really good lay and then they get up inspired and they're like, all or nothing at all, And I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It sells. It's cool. But a lot of women, if you're not singing and you play the saxophone and you don't see yourself as you want to be this sex kitten, you just want to be taken seriously.
Right.
And here's me, here's my music, this is who I am. I'm cool as hell. Like, this is it. So, how do we navigate social media together? How do we, as a collective, advertise for shows? How do we talk to the community about the issues that are important to us? Like, when you hand out that list of jazz musicians for your students to look up, how come there's no women on it? You know, how do we inspire younger women to get up on the stage and take a risk and play music that isn't written down? So it became a lot of things for a lot of people, and for me, it's super inspiring, and it motivates me into the next season. So I love to do it in March, because there's something about, you know, the rebirth of March anyway. So you sit in March, and then suddenly I'm just clobbered with women everywhere, and I love them, and they're super excited, and everybody's excited to play. And I have these workshops, and we do business workshops, and we do this young artist showcase, and these college students come in, and they're so excited. And a lot of them have never played with other college age women before, because sometimes you're the only woman in your jazz program, or one of two, or you know, that's it. So they come in, they're like freaking out like it's some amazing giant sleepover party, and they're like, oh my God, you know, this is it. And this is, a lot of them say to me, you know, this is the first space I've been in where I haven't had to feel like I have to prove myself, because you know, you go into a space and you say, I'm the only woman here, and there's already a stigma, like, and how much of it is in your head and how much of it is coming from the people, it depends on who the people are.
But I think a lot of women can, no matter what industry you're in, they feel that way. Yeah.
So it's important to create that space where we can all be chill.
Yeah, definitely.
And support each other.
And I guess when you first started, and this is my last question, I promise, about the festival, but I mean, you're a musician first. So what were some of the struggles and the transition of, now you're running, there's a business side to this. So the marketing, the administration, like building a team, what was that like? What was that like for you when you started? Because I think a lot of people have great ideas, but they don't act on it because of fear, because of financial reasons. So how did you make that shift to say, okay, I'm going to do this, and, you know, maybe share a few challenges that you had?
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me was to be able to have a community that I could rely on. So when I started the Jazz Festival, I knew not only is my family from here, so I make them go to all my stuff. I don't care. Y'all gotta come.
That's that same family.
Y'all gotta come.
That watched all my stuff,
right? y'all coming to my show. Thank you. And then you know, went to school here. So all my friends from school, all my teachers from school, everybody that I knew got an email from me, or a phone call from me, or a text message from me. And then on top of that, you know, the group of people that I was growing with. So like capitalbop.com is a jazz resource for DC that I love. And, you know, Giovanni Russinello was just starting that when I started my festival. And so he made all this coverage on the festival, and he was, you know, wrote articles on it, and every week reviewed the concerts. And then Bohemian Caverns Jazz Orchestra was just starting, and that was a huge thing. So that support network of people, and Brad Lindy, you know, we had concerts that were planned for the festival, and would bring special, you know, women composers for big band to come play. And just being, you know, Shannon Gunn started the Bullets, an all-female jazz orchestra here in D.C., and her network of people, and being able to draw on the resources that I already had. Because everybody's looking for something. They're looking for that grant, or they're looking for that sponsorship, or they're looking for that something. And you already have a lot of resources that you're not utilizing, and people who are excited about what you're excited about. So like my mom and all of her friends were like my first round of volunteers. Like they're selling T-shirts at the show, and they're taking tickets. And, you know, my friends are sitting in the back being like, oh, excuse me, did you not, excuse me, it's $10. Excuse me. Excuse me. I love it. I have a recording from one of the first concerts at the festival, and I made the mistake of setting it up, as I'm sure our audio engineer could appreciate, setting it up next to where the people are coming in. So I had just like, you know, set up the mic, whatever. I don't have time for this. Let me set this shit up. Okay. Archive. Got it. Document. Got to document. And so I set it up, and my friend was there, and my dearest friend, Lindsay, and she's lovely, and she's an incredible lawyer, and she's she works for undocumented immigrants. She's just an incredible person. And she had volunteered for me that night. And she was like, excuse me. There's a cover. So like almost on every song, you can hear people coming in, and she's like, "Excuse me, excuse me. You need to pay the cover." And I'm like, yes. So not only having friends, but having friends who are comfortable with money and comfortable with yelling at people for you.
This is a great example of just every year you're learning something.
Right.
And I think people just need to know that there's no magic pill or way to do any of this. You're just taking a risk. Using the resources you have, and you're gonna mess up, you're gonna fail. You have to be okay with that.
Yeah, you're not a failure, you just failed.
Yeah,
it's fine.
You just figure it out, and then next year not to put
don't put the microphone by the door
right there.
Like
let's
you
put
didn't
it over
let's
here.
put it over let's put it somewhere else.
Yeah. So I want to ask you quickly about you have a record label that you're starting.
Yes, speaking of endeavors.
Strange Woman Records.
Yes, I'm strange.
Yes. I want to be part of it. I
got you, girl.
I don't do any
I got
music,
you, girl. I'll let you know when I get the hats. Yeah, so this kind of came out of living in LA and working with my husband, Matt Devendorf, who's a guitarist and a composer and educator and sound engineer and magical person. And obviously I wouldn't have married him if he wasn't extra magical, number one magical. And we did a lot of recording projects together living in LA. And I've been working with some labels, and I found that I just wanted to have complete control. As a woman, this may sound familiar to you.
Yeah.
I want to have complete control.
I feel the same thing.
So, in taking complete control, we're doing kind of everything in-house now. So we found a great studio space in LA that we used for the last 3 albums, and we're going to put them out in the spring of this year. So I'm super, super excited about that. I've been releasing my own materials anyway, some smaller projects, and so I'm ready to just like dive in and make terrible, terrible mistakes, as we had previously discussed.
That's awesome.
And just do
I'm
all sorts of stuff.
I'm all for that.
You're like, see what happens. I got some books. I got some internet art listicles. I got some listicles for how to make a record label. Well, by a website.
Well, keep me up to date with what you need, and
I definitely will. So yeah, Matt's album is coming out. It's a 6-piece. 7 pieces, including him, and so it's incredible, beautiful music that he wrote after his father passed, and it's just a beautiful suite of music and some of my favorite players. And then I also have a quintet album coming out with Ana Barrero, who's an incredible jazz drummer from Brazil, and she's been on the festival, of course. And it's a mix of her more Brazilian tinged jazz things and my more crazy town jazz things, and that's going to be awesome. And then I have another trio record coming out with the Herald Trio, which is my international trio.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is incredible, which I just listened to that entire album last week. If you all haven't listened to Amy's music, please go find her.
Let's make a commercial.
Yes, actually share.
A commercial right now.
Where are you? Where is all your music? Where can people follow you?
I made this myself. I colored it with crayons. It's called the Herald
And she
Trio.
does comedy. She does stand up.
Look at the crayon detail. Incredible. Yeah. So
but your music is on iTunes.
On all the things. Yeah, whatever you want.
Wherever you can find music.
If you want to pay me for it, you can just pay me for it. That's the number one way to get my music. I'm on like CD Baby or any of those things. If you want a physical CD, like your grandma and stuff, or you want to
the real music lovers,
you want to bust
there.
it in your Toyota Corolla circa 1997 CD player. Then you can get some CDs. You can also just pay me money on my PayPal. It's Amy K. Bormet. Just pay me money and then stream it for the rest of your life. I'm on all the streaming things.
And your website?
My website is amykbormet.com. Yeah. And so, but we're on the Spotify. I'm trying to get on Tidal. You know that giant pays more. They pay you a whole cent per stream. 1 cent. You know how much you get Spotify? You get like half of a quarter of a cent or something.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
I mean, I know about the publishing industry.
It's
pretty much the same. So, I mean, that's a great segue also to just go back and saying that owning your own content.
Yes.
And if you can own your own company, your own label, you know, how important that is. Not only as an artist being able to create what you want, but the financial side of it as well.
I think that, you know, historically there's been such a disconnect between artists and administrators. And so a lot of the tension there is the fact that we haven't been given the materials and been told that this is an acceptable route for us to go. And there's a lot of feeling like, oh, well, if you do that too, then you can't do any art because you probably don't have time to do it because you are too
And I
good.
think that's why people look, I mean, I get that too. People look at us like, how do you do all this stuff? I just do it.
Yeah, I'm like, I do it and then it gets done.
I mean, it's not that it's easy,
then,
but the fact is that I want my art to feel, look, and be a certain way.
Yep.
So you have to take on those roles.
The whole thing. Yeah, I think it's important. And I, you know, like I said earlier, it's also important to know your resources and to know who you have that can do things.
Yeah,
and
I'm saying everybody can't do it.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, if you need me to color something,
we just need performers.
I can color. I have really great crayon skills. So, yeah. So, you know, I can do lots of different things, but also it's nice to have, like, my husband and I have a good balance of things for what we do for this record label. You know, he does a lot of the mixing work and has been really corralling all the tracks and all the physical, well, digital media. And I've been doing a lot of the, you know, promotional work because you have different strengths with different people.
Right.
So if you have a team of people around you who you know are functioning and are aligned with how you see your art, then why not? Why not just do it your damn self? Because otherwise you're giving up part of who you are to other people. And I think especially as women, you're giving up your part of your identity and then having someone else project it back at you.
Right.
Which is precarious, you know? And now we're in this time where it's like, oh, be authentic. And okay, cool. But what's more authentic than just doing your own shit?
Right. And I think just by showing up, you're claiming your space. You're, as a musician, as a, you know, community organizer, as a business owner, just being there. Yeah. Just saying, I'm here and you're going to take what I give you. Yeah.
Marjuan.
Yeah. So I want to play a quick game with you.
Uh-oh. Pressure's on.
Okay. So it's either or.
Okay.
Right? Either you want
ketchup.
You like this?
Okay.
Or
Okay.
Yeah, you get it. Okay.
I don't like ketchup.
Quick questions. Spaghetti or ravioli?
Ooh, ravioli. Stuffed. I love it stuffed.
Dogs or cats?
Oh, man. I historically liked dogs, but now I brought a cat. I brought my porch cat that lived in L.A. on the street. I brought her to D.C. with me. Her name is Captain Mouse. She's in charge of the porch. So now I have to say cats.
Cats.
But I like dogs, so that's hard.
I'm a dog person.
I am a dog person, but now I have a cat.
This was supposed to be either or.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No full stories.
I'm sorry. Gray area.
It's just
gray
for the
area.
audience to be like, ooh.
I don't like her. She likes cats. Who likes cats? Oh, what a bitch.
Billie Holiday or Ella Fitzgerald?
Billie Holiday. Sorry, Ella.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I'm an Ella.
I know you are, but come on. Ella is great,
yeah.
But like Billie Holiday, man, she destroys you. Like, I want to be sad.
I'm actually, Nina Simone is my favorite. Jazz artist, pianist, singer.
Because she's the best.
And almost every day I'm listening to a Nina song.
Because she's so powerful.
Yeah.
She will destroy any and everything. Yeah. She's like the Voltron of jazz singers. Like, she's just coming in.
Sometimes I just watch her interviews. I'm like, I need to get my life together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man. One of my teachers met her backstage. He used to play for Carmen McRae. His name's Tad Weed, and he lived in Detroit. And when he was playing for Carmen McRae, they did a double bill with Nina Simone. And he was backstage, and he, God bless him, he was a lovely, balding white man with glasses, and just a delightful guy and totally harmless. And he's backstage. Somehow he ended up backstage alone with Nina Simone. And she's just looking at him like... And he's like, I love your music. She's like, he's like, And then no joke, this is exactly the story as he told me. And he's dead now, so God bless him. And he can't correct me if I said it wrong. She opened up her purse. She had one of those snap purses, She opened up the purse and she pulled out a gun and she was like, I got this. I'm watching you. And put it back in her purse.
Yeah.
And he was like, cool.
I like your music.
I like your stuff. Okay, bye. Good
That's
story.
classic.
Nina Simone.
Great.
Yeah.
Marvel or DC?
I don't even know which one is which. Is that bad? Which one was the Avengers one?
That's Marvel, right?
See? I'm from DC. That's
Black
like DC.
Panther.
Black Panther, is that DC?
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
Black Panther is Marvel. Right?
Yeah,
No,
sure.
you can talk.
Come on, y'all. Help me out.
This is everybody in the room.
The best.
Marvel's the best.
In terms
DC
of
is.
movies.
Oh, okay.
DC
Okay,
movies
I-
are horrible.
The
I like
Avengers
Mar-
movie, the
I think
last
we
one.
should both just say Marvel because
Okay,
everybody in
okay.
here is looking at us. like-
Okay, fine. That last one messed me up though. That there was crying kids. I went to see it in Koreatown. There was little Korean kids crying at the Avengers movie, just being like, "Everybody is dead, mommy."
Wait,
And I
is
was
it
like,
Avengers
"That's
is
messed
Marvel?
up."
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh,
All the good
that
movies
last
are-
Avengers was just too long for me. I'm like,
It was
what is
too
going
long,
on?
and then it was sad, and then everyone died, and I was like,
It's like,
"Who?"
what?
Best comic book movies ever.
Okay, guys, we're almost
Whatever.
we're
I'm
almost
over
there.
I'm over it.
70s or 80s?
80s. I
yeah.
know it's
I'm
weird,
at 80s.
but
Yeah, 80s.
I
baby.
just like pink. There's no pink in the 70s.
I feel that. New York or LA?
Oh, LA. Sorry. It's
New
sunny.
York, all the way.
It's dirty in New York.
Yeah, but it's real.
Mm,
You
I
got real
know.
dirt in New York.
real dirt. LA's got real earthquakes. I don't know.
Feel that. Nicki or Cardi?
Ooh, Nikki.
I'm
She's
obsessed
like-
with that Good Form song right now. I know it's a lot, but it's just something about.
So powerful.
I mean, I like them both. It's just,
Go for it all. Go for it all. Love the booty. Make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Jerry Allen or Alice Coltrane?
Oh no, you didn't.
I did.
Both of them.
Actually,
Happy
Erica did,
Paradise.
but
I
I
see you,
didn't.
Erica. I see. This is what I'd get when you're like, I'm gonna do some research. Let me see. That's so hard though. Alice Coltrane. She had a big ashram in LA, and it just burnt down in the last round of wildfires. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't there. She's been dead for like 8 years, but the ashram itself was for sale a few years ago, and I was like, man, I should buy that because it was only like $4 million. And I was like, I got some friends. It's a
Just get
big
all
old
of us,
ashram.
just
It's like a 30
Let me get
person
a bill,
thing.
let me get a bill.
Yeah, I mean, we could fit 30 people in there. Anyway, it burned down. Good thing I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry for Alice Coltrane's legacy that it burnt down though. Yeah, it's Jerry Allen though,
Jerry Allen.
but I love Alice Coltrane.
Dope.
There's no way
So,
I would.
I
Yeah, you could put anyone against Jerry Allen. You'd be like, Jesus Christ, Jerry Allen. I'd be like, Jerry Allen.
Right.
Like Dalai Lama, Jerry Allen. Like Jerry Allen. Barack Obama, Jerry Allen.
Awesome.
Jerry Allen.
So, Amy, I want to thank you so much for coming in today and being on our podcast. And can you bless us with some of your music? Just right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like what my mom used to say. Just come on, entertain us. I'm
Don't
like,
sound like monkey.
I'm not a monkey. But if you can just give, our listeners a taste of what Amy is, what Amy's sound is.
What is Amy's sound? Uh-oh.
Come on, Darius.
Okay, pressure's on. Okay, here we go. Some Billie Holiday time. I don't know why, but I'm feeling so sad. I long to try something I've never had no kissing. Oh, what I've been missing. Lover man, oh, where can you be? That's it. So
That's Amy Bormet, everyone. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. Please check her out. Her album, The Herald Trio, is out, and she's working on Washington Women in Jazz Festival coming up 2019.
yes,
Um,
WashingtonWomenInJazz.com.
Just go to her website.
find me.
Find her. Her music's on iTunes, everywhere you can find music. Support her. Incredible musician, artist, entrepreneur. everything, activist,
Yes,
Amy
please
Bormet.
reach out. I want more friends. Be my friend.
Yes, let's all be friends.
Yay. I mean, Marjuan likes being my friend, so
Thanks, Amy.
thank you.